Welcome to RTTV. I'm your host, Fred Hess, and I'm here with Dan Kaman, the owner of Rowe Transfer Company. How you doing, Dan?
Good.
Good. Hey, you know what? We were talking a couple of weeks ago about Rowe Transfer and the difference between a transfer company and a transportation company.
Yeah.
And you went on for like forever talking about the difference that I never realized. You really educated me on the difference between the two. And I thought it would be a good idea if we shared that with our audience and our website viewers and visitors on what's the difference. And then you also weaved in the history of Rowe Transfer in that discussion, because Rowe, for all y'all that don't know, Rowe Transfer is a 140-year plus company.
Yeah.
They're the second oldest company in Knox County, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you've got pictures, and we're going to show that on the screen, of horses and carts and moving a Saturn rocket through East Tennessee, all that. So I just want to, would you share what you told me?
Yeah. I mean, in today's world, you have transportation and, logistics, and everybody has a transportation company or entity of some sort, whether it be a asset-based company or a 3PL brokerage kind of thing. And so a lot of times people will say, oh, you're Rowe Transport, or you're just a transportation company, which we're really not. Transfer, when back in the old days, transfer meant I take something from A and I get it all the way to Z. Mm-hmm. Transportation is a factor of that. But I mean, for instance, I have people that will ship containers from, China to us. We'll unload them at the shop. We'll store the equipment for a little while. Then we'll take it on a truck, transportation, to somewhere, put it in and hook it up for them. Same thing from all over the world. And we've done that for years. Transfer is more about actually transferring whatever asset you need from A to B. Mm-hmm. It's not just putting it on a truck and driving down the road.
So when you do a job, it's not just backing up to a loading dock, somebody throw it on the truck and off you run.
Very rarely is a loading dock even involved. Mm-hmm. I mean, most times, you're either out in a parking lot, you can load it in a building sometimes. There are cranes involved, there are forklifts involved, sometimes very large forklifts, sometimes very large cranes. We've had jobs where we've had to take the roof off a building to get the equipment out, and had a 650-ton crane out there flying a 150,000-pound piece across the way. So, when you talk about, and then that's really the big difference. I mean, so rigging or machinery moving is a factor of what we do. Transportation is a factor of what we do, and as is storage and warehousing. But the whole thing combined is transfer. And we started, David Rowe started Rowe Transfer back in 1883. And back then you didn't have trucks and cars. You had horse and buggy. So they would unload the trains and take all the stuff that needed to go wherever and take it to town. Mm. Horse and buggy.
And this is in Knoxville.
This is here in Knoxville, yeah. And back, there's some articles you've seen in the past. Rowe Transfer was one of the largest transfer companies in the Southeast up until the late 50s. So, I mean, they had offices in Atlanta and Nashville, and Kentucky, all over the place. So I took over the company in January of 03. The guy I took it over from had it for 40 years. He took it over in 63.
Wow. And what was his name?
Bob Armstrong. And Bob, he bought it in 63. In 66, he moved the third stage of the Saturn rocket up Mount Eagle to Tullahoma so they could test fire in a missile silo. Yeah. Because back then you had to see if the rocket would ignite in a vacuum. So to stick it in a giant silo and pull a vacuum on the silo to make sure it would spark. Mm. And so, they unloaded it on a barge in Chattanooga and drove it straight up I-24 on Mount Eagle, shut down the construction on the interstate and all the overpasses until the rocket came through.
Wow.
So it's, crazy times.
I know we have pictures to show y'all of that, and we're going to show some where there's two guys on forklifts right underneath the rocket to keep it obviously level.
Well, so, you've got this, 150,000 pound rocket that's basically 20 feet diameter and it's on a trailer, and a road has a curvature to it. And when you go around a corner, it's banked. Mm-hmm. So what Bob did is he put forklifts on each side and put I-beams underneath it so he could actually offset the pressure on the trailer to keep the rocket level while it's going around the corner.
That's insane.
In 66.
That's insane.
It is. It is.
Because I mean, you see them with there's these little guys underneath this rocket, and that thing rolls.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Squish.
I still have one of those forklifts at the shop.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah, it's a 66 model Clark with a Hercules flat 6 in it. You can't even find parts for me.
Wow.
But yeah, we still have that.
Does it still run?
It will still start. We haven't taken it on a job in years.
So back in the day, there were just transfer companies, or were there transportation companies as well?
You know, of course, that's a little bit before my time.
You're not the original owner of Rowe?
I'm the fifth owner. But, you know, I'm sure there were people that did just transport, you know, but a lot of the older companies, and you'll see them, I've got friends in different parts of the country that are still transfer companies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's one up in Cincinnati. In fact, I've got pictures from the 50s where our two companies worked together on a big project with a big giant steam shovel.
Really?
Yeah, and they had to take it and put it up a mountain. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so yeah, it's in transportation, the industry of transportation is massive. You know, it's billions of dollars every year. And you have companies that's all they do is trucks and transport from A to B. But they don't really know your equipment. You know, we learn your equipment. We figure out where to pick it up, where we can't pick it up, how we can secure it, how we can move it, and how it's got to go in a building. So, you know, we learn a lot more about the product you have because of that.
Mm. So not every Johnny with a forklift could.
No. I mean, we do a lot with injection molding machines,
Mm-hmm.
and we've got a client that makes you know, Gatorade bottles and things like that here in town, and we move their machines. In fact, we did a video on them, I think a year or so ago, moving one of their machines across the plant. That
We
was
did.
a 75,000 pound machine. We moved it as a whole unit. They were down for a total of 8 hours.
Yeah, I was there filming that.
Yeah.
And of course, we were here talking about it, and it was literally, how do you move this massive piece of machinery and still let them conduct business?
Yeah.
It was amazing to see.
And so, but that's what transfer. That's where the term transfer came from. Is, you know, we take it from here, you know, whether it's, you know, being manufactured here or whatever, and take it all the way over here so you can use it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the transportation is just a little part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and that may be, you know, an oversized load. That may be a super haul. You know, and there's specialty trailers and trucks for that kind of stuff.
Now, what's a super haul?
So when you're doing transportation, you know, the standard truck is good, legal up to 80,000 pounds.
Okay.
All right. After that, you have to get permits, and the permits are based on width, height, and weight. A super load is a load where the truck and trailer and load are over 150,000 pounds.
Oversized load.
They're oversized, but they're overweight.
Mhm.
So the heaviest that I've personally run is 207 down the road. So we took a big trenching machine to Savannah years ago. It was 207,000 pounds.
Wow.
And, you know, so you've got extended trailers, you've got Jeeps, you've got Stingers, you've got cars front, cars in the back. And it's extremely specialized and expensive equipment. So.
And you don't necessarily run that thing down a back alley, do you?
No. In fact, some of them, depending on the size of the trailers, you have to get permits to haul them empty.
Really?
Yeah, because the truck and trailer together are over 80,000 pounds. So you have to permit it each way.
How easy is it to get these permits?
Well, it depends on where you're at and what state you're going
I
through, and
bet.
you know, there's every state has their own permitting office, and so it's not like it's a national thing. So if I'm going from here to Texas, I have to permit Tennessee, I have to permit Mississippi, I got to permit Louisiana, and I got to permit Texas, and each state has their own regulations. So you have different insurance requirements per state, you have different rules per state, you have different axle limits per state. It's insane.
So you could be permitted in Tennessee, but maybe not permitted.
Well, you can get permits, but for instance, in the state of Tennessee, I can run a lowboy with 4 axles off the back at 18,000 pounds an axle. And if I get to Georgia, I'm good with that up to 150,000 pound load, but they don't like 4 axles on 150,000 pound or above. If I push a button on that trailer, lift the 3rd axle off the ground, I'm legal. How does that make any sense at all?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
So, you know, there's a lot of nuances that go into all the different facets of things. I mean, you know, logistics is moving equipment, and it's moving loads, it's moving product. You know, we focus on equipment. That's our main thing. I'm not hauling a bunch of widgets down the road in a drive-in. I mean, a lot of people could do that stuff. I try to go for the more intense stuff, the specialized stuff. We do a lot with nuclear medical equipment, nuclear pharmacies, and some of these machines are 150, 200,000 pounds. Now they're assembled that way, so the biggest single chunk maybe only be 60,000 pounds. But we've taken apart equipment that weighs 5 million pounds.
Really?
So, oh yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we did a job in Indiana years ago. We pulled apart a proton therapy system, and the cyclotron itself was 5 million pounds, came apart in 60,000 pound chunks.
Wow.
There were 305 tractor trailer loads of equipment we shipped out of that building.
305.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're coordinating with other trucking companies.
Radioactive tractor. Yeah. Yeah. Because we do nuclear remediation as well. So.
So not only heavy but dangerous.
Nah, it's not really dangerous. It's just it takes a lot of paperwork and some training. Yeah.
Experience, maybe?
Experience is a good thing, yeah. I mean, we've only had to get in bunny suits a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
With the white and the
the
mask,
full
the whole
Tyvek
bit.
suits.
Yeah, gotcha. Was there something that happened back in the day when transportation companies became more prevalent or anything? Was there regulations or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Back in the 80s, trucking was deregulated. So anybody that felt like they could drive a truck got behind the wheel and started hauling freight. And so, because it used to be your ICC number, that was something that actually had an asset value. You could actually sell that back before then because it was so hard to get. Now, I think a couple grand and fill out the paperwork, and all of a sudden you're a trucking company. So,
Owner operator, you're gone.
Well, owner operator's a little bit different because they have to still run under an ICC, so they can either sign on with a company and run under their ICC, or they can get their own.
Gotcha.
So it just, it's a lot different these days.